I didn't notice it at first because it wore the shape of virtue, patience, endurance, the willingness to carry out what is heavy without complaint. I admire that in someone I loved. It looked like depth. It sounded like faith. When life became difficult, they moved toward meaning through suffering, as if pain itself were a teacher, and staying inside it long enough would eventually reveal what it had come to say. I built my life beside that belief without understanding the cost at all. When something strained between us, I was looking for repair. When something hurt, I looked for where to adjust. When a pattern repeated, I assumed it was information asking to be tended. They moved differently, though. They stayed, they carried, they trusted that the weight itself was doing an important work. For a long time, I mistook this difference for compatibility. We both cared. I didn't realize that we were answering completely different questions. The dissonance appeared very gradually. I began to notice how often they interpreted struggle as confirmation, while I experienced it as an alert signal. How they stayed inside discomfort as an offering, while I was listening for the moment that something asked to change. Neither of us was wrong, but together the difference mattered. Building a shared life exposed it. Decisions that required discernments became instead tests of endurance. Conversations that needed flexibility became exercises in fortitude. I found myself negotiating not only circumstances, but assumptions about what suffering meant. They trusted meaning arrived through staying. I trusted that meaning arrived through change. When I moved to relieve unnecessary strain, it sometimes felt to them like I was abandoning something important. When they remained in it, it felt to me like devotion to a story that harmed myself, my body. What made this difficult wasn't disagreement, but reverence. They revered suffering as formative. I revered aliveness as sacred. I could respect their sincerity without being able to follow them there. I could see the beauty in what they valued without being able to build a life around it. Love doesn't require shared metaphysics. Shared life does. You can admire someone's devotion without agreeing to organize your days around it. Naming this didn't solve everything. It didn't turn one of us into the other, but it did restore clarity. I stopped translating my refusal of suffering into a failure of their character. I stopped borrowing their endurance as proof of my own worth. This is where our maps diverge. We still share laughter, memory, tenderness, and the ordinary weave of life, but I no longer confuse proximity with alignment. I no longer assume that love requires me to sanctify pain, or that building something together means agreeing on what pain is for. I can walk beside someone who believes suffering is meaningful. I cannot build my home inside that belief. Alignment is not endurance.